What is misogyny? Why is it so dominant in the USA? And what are the dangers that it poses in this lifetime to women and the future generations? Before I get into it, I am Cynthia Greer, spiritualist who works at the in-depth level of the soul. My job is to guide you into higher consciousness by helping you to understand the lower one and what keeps you in a holding pattern of repeated behavior that is self-destructive. If you enjoy these videos, please smash the like, subscribe, and share buttons, as I am completely self-funded. There is no sponsorship on this channel whatsoever, and the information that I bring you takes a lot of time, energy, and finances that are not replenished because of the path that I am on that brings the truth, which is usually shadow banned and blackballed. But that is another story. If you want to find out more about that, you can look into my book, Medical Malpractice, The Uncharted Journey. So let's get into it. The meaning of misogyny is contempt for women. And disturbingly enough, this contempt is being reflected in every aspect of our society, though many people are completely unaware of it because they don't recognize it. They don't recognize it because they have been accustomed to abusive behavior, and that abusive behavior is so widespread that it is accepted and practiced in daily life in ways that you would never conceive imaginable. And this abuse, this restriction on the feminine, plays out in ridicule, judgment, condemnation, and criticism of marital status, of financial status, of health conditions, and religious and political beliefs. And this is why when I work with people, what they believe spiritually or their political preference does not enter into whether or not I am going to talk to them and help them to get to the root cause of what is blocking them because to me that is completely pointless. It's not going to serve a higher purpose on any level. Because in truth, misogyny works through all political parties and all spiritual belief systems. And it silences the truth, which is the greatest aspect of the divine feminine when a woman truly reaches that point and begins to express it in every way. Now, as human beings, of course, we know that we have the both masculine and feminine within us. So men who have become consciously aware of their divine femininity will seek to root out any misogynistic characteristic that they may have, which could be holding them back. And they become a well-balanced, loving, kind, gentle man who is taking the role of the father, the protector, and the brother. They become the true divine masculine by integrating the divine feminine within. And this is why the divine feminine at her highest level has been sought out, ridiculed, and slaughtered, physically taken off of the planet for centuries. And all you have to do is go into the pages of history, whether you are looking at the Inquisitions and witch hunts, what happened in ancient Rome or other ancient cultures, and most recently, the crisis in Afghanistan with the repression that women are enduring under the leadership that they have. And if you go back to the way it was in the 70s, it wasn't like that. Afghanistani women had the freedom of choice to grow, to develop, to express themselves and become all that they could be. And there was a lot of joy in that culture. And it wasn't looked down on the way that it is now. The average lifespan of a woman, if they are lucky, if they can endure the hell that they are going through, will live maybe to the age of 40. Now, I want you to take a look at something. In the USA, look at the mortality rate of women. despite what studies say about women living longer than men. Because in my work, I mainly see women checking out before the age of 60. The majority of women are not living to the age that their mothers did or their grandmothers. This is because of the misogyny in our culture that has deemed women no longer worthy of life because they are past their expiration date. It is reflected in the way we are treated medically, how we are blown off, how our complaints are not taken seriously, how many of us are told it's all in our head. And this is suppressing us in a very big way that is causing many women to completely give up and not even seek a cure, seek help for an illness that is completely curable, and in many cases with minimal treatment, but it spirals out of control because of the attitude, the belief that there is no hope. And I see this basically every day. Now, how do we, as women and men, overcome this kind of judgment that is rampant in not just the medical field and promoted through social media, but it is upheld in our political systems? It doesn't matter which one it is, and our religious systems. We in the United States have moved backward, not forward. And I know that this is going to ruffle a lot of feathers, especially people who are in the New Age movement are not going to like this, because so many believe that we are heading for a golden age. I hate to break this to you, but we are not anywhere near close to that. Even though there are many people awakening, the cruelty and abuse that comes with judgment and condemnation, and it always does, and there is no way around that. Whether the judgment is towards someone's marital status, their health condition, or their dietary habits, the viciousness always brings cruelty. And that cruelty, right there in a nutshell, is what is keeping this country from moving forward. Now, many of you may say, but I don't have any control for this. We have a bad government. We have horrible leadership. Always remember this. I've said it before, I'll say it again. In any society, the leadership that comes into power is only a symptom of what the problem is. Leadership comes into office through consciousness. It happens when those who are easily hypnotized and cannot think for themselves are blindsided. They are easily influenced by what others are perceiving as truth. Any time that you have a political leader or a group of them or medical doctors that are going after an age group or a gender, and they want to completely annihilate it by instilling fear. Fear to the point of, if you don't do what I tell you to do, you're not going to like the results, because you're not going to like what my temper is going to do to you when I get mad. This bull-baiting, childish behavior is why we are where we are at. But where does it really start? It starts at a soul level. It is what has not been overcome that plays out in our own lives, in our own personal relationships, and in our own homes. And this is where you have to start. You have to see things for what they really are and stop sugarcoating and making something into a perfect picture that you want to show the world because you don't want anyone to know what you are truly going through. If you are with someone who is a misogynist and they are suppressing your femininity, you have to face that fact. If they are condemning and ridiculing and criticizing you or anyone else without knowing the circumstances of that individual, and I have found basically everyone who condemns and criticizes, they don't know what that individual has gone through and have no right to dictate and offer an opinion of whether they or their children should be fed. Leverage of food and the necessities of life, that has been held over people's heads for centuries, and it never serves a higher purpose. Women can be misogynists just as much as a man can be. And this is playing out in how many of them treat the women that are their co-workers and their patients. It's how many of them treat their daughters, their sisters, or their friends. One side of misogyny is a personality that is completely avoidant, that cannot communicate, that divides and conquers through gossip and through social cliques. And what do we have? We have a wonderful caste system right now, and I mean that sarcastically. In this country that has made women so crazy, they are injecting themselves with dermal fillers and going for plastic surgeries at the risk of going into debt without focusing on their real health needs, which would automatically bring out their natural beauty if they were to get healthy and live a wholesome life. Instead, women are going all over the place, trying to fix it on the outer to be accepted. And it's not working. It's only making women crazy. So how you come out of this is you take stock of what your thoughts are. Because where you think, where your mind is, how you think, is exactly where you are going to go. Now, I want to stress something here. If you are trying with your life, you're educating yourself, you're working on building a good life for yourself, and your living conditions and finances are not reflecting perfection, don't worry about that. Do the best you can with living your life at a wholesome level. The rest comes down the road anyway. Know your heart and stay in your heart center. This is how you become responsible for what you are thinking. If you buy into the matrix, if you buy into what everybody else is doing, and all of these projections that are coming at you, and this includes negative feedback from people who have a poverty consciousness, a consciousness of doom and gloom, that there is no hope, you cannot identify with that. You have to keep your consciousness elevated to a higher level seeking your connection with God and understanding that you are in God's image. You are a spark of this divine presence. And ultimately, that no human being, no matter how politically or medically powerful they are, in any area of your life has the power that God has. I wish you great love and many blessings.